What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What up, man? What up? What up? What up? Y'all hop on real quick. If you're from infield, close to infield, know somebody in infield, hop on real quick. If you're from infield, you in infield, you know somebody from infield, you love somebody from infield, hop on real quick. Hop on. If you're from infield, if you're in infield, if you know, hop on real quick. Hop on real quick. If you're from infield, you know somebody from infield, you love infield. If you know somebody in infield, or if you care about black people in general, hop on real quick. Share the video, tag somebody, whatever. I'm gonna start talking in 5 seconds. If you're from infield, if you know somebody from infield, if you love infield, hop on the video real quick. I want to talk about what's been going on since we tore down the Confederate monument. When I say we, I'm talking about the vote from the town council and then my actions last night. So, real quick, the state of North Carolina is extremely particular, but also vague about when you can tear down a monument, when you can remove or relocate a monument as it pertains to honoring anything that happened in this country's past. Now, some parts of the general statute that governs what you can do with the monument says that you can't do, if the state own it, you need permission. But if it's owned by a town, a city, if it's owned by a town or a city or a private partisan, then there's different laws. The problem is what looks like the destruction of stone right here. Let me turn this camera around. I put this line around it, so I don't want anybody to think that there's anything related to the police department associated with this crime. I put this line around it last night after I tore this monument down. And the reason I tore you this monument down is there's a certain things that we got to acknowledge. We cannot pretend that black children's emotion, that black children's health, mental health, and also the stress associated with being black in America, when the world is telling you that you're not enough, when the world is telling you that your blackness is not equal to that, or does not deserve the protection that white kids deserve, does not have long-term effects. And the reason we can't pretend that is because there's tons of studies that show that when black kids are presented in situations that causes, that is racism or race related, there's stress associated with that produce cortisol. Cortisol is something that is a chemical reaction to stress that the body creates, and it produces inflammatory reactions. This is why black people have worse healthcare outcomes. One of the reasons. And we also know that there's been tons of studies from the American Pediatric Association that says the exposure to this idea that black children, that they're not enough, that they're not equal to white kids, has long lasting effects that extends well beyond them being children. So if you care about kids, I don't care what race you are, if you care about kids, little black kids in this situation, because we're talking about the racist incidents that creates hostile environments for black kids, if you care about them, then you understand why this statue is a public health crisis. If you care about the well-being of black children living on the margins in infield, and what their mentality is as it pertains to seeing a statue that stood for them being nothing but slaves and owned by white people simply because they were born black in the United States of America, then you understand why that statue had to be altered. Then you understand why it had to fall down. Since this statue fell down, the police department in infield, the police chief in infield, called the SBI to investigate, because he said I was wrong for the way I tore it down. I was wrong. The statute that they are quoting or trying to quote in North Carolina law does not protect any statute or anything that is a public health crisis. If you don't believe the mentality or the mental health of black kids deserves to be considered a mental health crisis, then all you got to do is read all of the studies. And I ain't talking about from way back. You can read recent studies from last year, the year before that, 2019, about what racism does to black children, black youth, black young adults. Pretending that just because you put on the other side of that statue something about wars that came after the Confederate does nothing to make those black children feel whole. This was a public safety crisis. We had to act for the defense, for the public safety of our neighborhood. Not to mention, this little altering of this statue is minute to save or help heal our community from all of this racial trauma associated with this park. This is public land, y'all. This is what y'all don't know about my hometown. I grew up in this place, Enfield, North Carolina. This town had two parks. This big spacious park used to have a swimming pool right there with that concrete sticking out of the ground for white people. The name of this park was the White Folk Park. The town owned this park. It was well kept and well manicured. On the other side of town, with less resources and less access to other things, we definitely didn't have a swimming pool, was the Black Folk Park. What you're seeing right here on the other side of this statue wasn't just a statue for the Confederacy. This was a water fountain for white people. On the other side, the filthy side, was where black people could drink water. We were not allowed to drink water from this side where white people were allowed to drink from. To say that these statues standing when there are black people that live in Enfield that experience not being able to use this water fountain, that their tax dollars paid for, that their tax dollars in this park paid for, to say that it has no effect, it's ridiculous. It is not only is it ridiculous, it's beyond truth. It's beyond fake. It's Disney World. It's Disney World. This cemetery, this large cemetery you can't see up on the hill, it's beautiful. It used to be named the White Folk Cemetery. It is a place where black people couldn't be buried. The town owned that cemetery. The place where black people were buried was so low that when it rains, you can't drive through it. That's where black people had to be buried. So think about that. Where you want to end your life was covered by the town. The town owned this space. White people could come to the town and get them a plot and bury their family members with dignity. Their kids can play in this beautiful, expansive space, swim in this swimming pool, and drink clean water from the white folks' side. And also honor the Confederacy. All of these mechanisms that people are trying to pretend do not affect black people in a negative way. Do not affect black people in a negative way. Was and is our reality. Was and is our reality. So when people ask me why did it have to come down in this manner, it's because it's a public safety issue. It's a health crisis. No black kid should have to look at a Confederate monument in a playground, let alone in a playground. We are out here pretending. We're out here pretending that it matters that they 40 years later put something on the back about other wars and try to say it's a war monument. No, you built this in 1928. Your original intent was to honor the Confederacy. Doesn't matter that 50 or 60 years later you put this up here or put something on the back of it to honor other veterans. That's not how it works. If this statue was a human and for 30 years, all you did was abuse people. If all you did for 30 years were abuse people, and then somebody put on your back of your shirt, I'm changed, that trauma associated with your actions is not gone. That trauma that people feel every time they walk past you is not gone. And to tell us to deal with it as black citizens, black residents that make up the majority, the overwhelming majority of Enfield population is beyond stupid to me. So yes, Chief Ayers, yes, Mr. Police Chief, I absolutely did alter this monument in this manner. And if you felt the need to call the SBI, I am fully okay with that. I am okay with that. It also puts in perspective how we must be diligent about who we allow in our community to protect and serve our kids and our interests. It is no way It is no way. It is funny to me. I'm gonna give you guys, because I read too much. We see what this is. Nobody. We have a statue. We just got a statue approved about Black history to be put up, a historical statue. Enfield, Halifax County is part of the Underground Railroad. Underground Railroad. How are we to bring in tourists to our space that are here in this county to celebrate Black history, Black's right to freedom through the Underground Railroad, while we got a monument standing in the middle of one of our parks to the Confederate? To the Confederate. I didn't say the chief. Everybody keeps saying not the chief. I didn't say the chief. Read the article. The article said the SBI spokesperson said the chief called them. That is not me speculating. I don't do that. I'm not upset with the chief. I don't care about that. I don't care, because I'm black. I'm black. I'm black. I'm black beyond black when it comes to people's health, when it comes to what's necessary to protect the interests of Black children and Black people. I don't care. I don't care about his actions. But it wasn't me saying that. The article written said the SBI spokesperson said the chief of Enfield called them. Not me. I don't care about that. I don't get caught up in people's emotion. I don't get caught up in people's feelings. I stay to the facts. This is why I'm resting assured that if it's illegal to protect the public health of Enfield Black children, if it's illegal for me to try to make Enfield Black folk feel as whole as Enfield white folk, then I'm guilty as hell. Then I'm guilty as hell, and I'll stay guilty. If it's illegal for this statute to be altered in this manner because it's negative towards Black children, Black people's health, and what it means to the future of Enfield, then I'm guilty. If that's illegal, if North Carolina has a law that says you cannot protect the health of your Black residents because it may offend someone else, when we have science that shows that racism is killing Black people at an earlier age than white people, who the hell want to live in that space? Who want to be comfortable enough to not give a damn in that space? I don't. So every day now, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every day that ends in a Y, Black children will not have to deal with this toxic situation in their park, a park that their parents, the grandparents couldn't play in. They don't have to deal with that stress. They don't have to walk past it. And people say, oh, if it's not directly in your face, it doesn't affect you. That's not how racism works. When you have little Black kids going home telling their mom and dads that today they were white, and then their parents asking them, why were you white today? And it's because their white school partner said, I only play with white kids. That is the effect of racism. People are denying their Blackness so they can be liked by white kids. The long-term effect of that is a shorter life for Black people. I am not okay with that. I don't feel comfortable with that. And it doesn't bother me who's affected at all. It does not bother me who's affected. And no, I said this every day since. It does not matter to me that some of you all suggest that we should have covered it up. Covering up cavities don't get rid of cavities. You may smile pretty, but you still have rotten teeth in your mouth. We are not going to sit here and watch Black children's soul be ate away. Their dreams, their ideas of being whole, being ate away because some white people may be uncomfortable with the idea that just maybe, the Confederacy was about slavery. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. You can just go read the Constitution of the Confederate. Just go read the Constitution. Go read the Constitution. If it doesn't crush you to hear what they're saying. So all of these people who want to say this is about states' rights or northern states' aggressions against southern states, then you're trying to rewrite history, because that's not what the white people who started the Confederate States of America said. They said they were seceding to protect the institution of slavery, which is their God-given right to own Black people, and Black people were inferior. That's what that monument means. That's what that monument means. So to call me, to talk to me, or to tell me I'm under investigation by the SBI, man, I got bigger fish to fry. I got bigger fish to fry, bro. I got bigger fish to fry. Y'all out here worrying about the wrong thing. You think I every time I see something with a Confederate flag on it, I feel a certain type of way. I'm connected to my history enough to know that you are not allowed. You will not persecute that out of me. You can't persecute that out of me. It is an absolute tragedy that you all think it's okay to have this statue standing and disrespect every black person who ever lived here, whoever fought for black freedom, whoever fought for America's Constitution, whoever walked past this statue, and children that will come by. Yeah, the statue's been altered. The statue's been altered. And it is no going back. It is no going back. So if the chief does not understand that that's what I was coming from, that's the space where it came down. Also, by the way, I should mention that our town board voted 4-1. Only one person said no, said we shouldn't tear it down. And that one person happens to be a Republican, a white Republican on our town council. A white Republican on our town council voted to keep this statue. This is not small. This is about the health of black folk, black children, black people being whole. So I refuse to sit idle. I'm not afraid. And like I said early on, the SBI is a well-capable organization to do its investigation. I feel like we have laws to protect the public health of black children and black people and residents of this state. The statute falling is us exercising our duly right as a body, as a creature, talking about the town of Enfield. As a creature of the North Carolina Constitution, we have the right to remove anything that is a public health crisis. We can alter this statute because of that. And this is what we did. This is what we did. And it didn't cost the town anything. Now, for those who understand that or don't understand that there's precedence for this, please see the city of Asheville, who destroyed their statue, and ask them how much it cost them to destroy their statue. $150,000 was spent for the city of Asheville. $114,000 was spent on taking it down. Another $23,000 on the restoration of the site to make it normal. The town of Enfield didn't spend anything to destroy this. It's been altered in a stance. It's been destroyed from its original content in a way that makes this better. And it didn't cost the town anything. We're out here playing games about what black health looked like. I can tell you right now, no black child from this day forward would ever come to this park and see a Confederate flag or a standing white only water fountain and a filthy, nasty black only water fountain in a park that used to be called the White Folk Park. It is down. You cannot honor U.S. soldiers on one side and then the Confederate on the other side. Confederate soldiers killed American soldiers. You can't honor the Confederate flag. You can't say you believe in America's Constitution and the American flag and also believe in the Confederate flag. Those two things can't exist in the same space. The Confederacy was about splitting the United States of America, creating an entire different country with its own constitution, with its own set of laws. Chief and mainly in those laws were the protection of the institution of slavery, not state rights like some of y'all want to say. That's not what it's about. So if you truly believe that all men are created equal, then black children deserve not to be triggered or thinking that they're less than because of a statue that was put here almost 100 years ago, 6 years away from 100 years, to honor white supremacy. I'll have this conversation with anybody. I've noticed, y'all, this is my neighborhood. I live right over there. Right over there. This is my neighborhood. There's never been this much traffic. There's never been this much traffic in this park. I've seen more white men with guns today than I have since I left the Marine Corps. I've seen more white men with guns today walking through my neighborhood. I just walked past on a Zoom on a call with the council with one of the commissioners who's on vacation, and it showed him how many people were a block away from my house parked in one yard, and every one of them had at least one gun on their hips. Some of them two. I will not be intimidated. I will not be intimidated. I will not be intimidated. You don't have the power to do it. You don't have the power to do it. I promise you. This is what the Confederacy should look like. When you tell the story, it should be as broken as this. There was nothing successful about the Confederate who sought to break this country into multiple countries for the protection of their right to own black people. If you don't think that has any negative effect on black people because it's not happening right now, I would challenge you to go read the study from John Hopkins University that they did about Jewish people who were that survived the Holocaust. It said those people who survived the Holocaust, their descendants' DNA was forever changed. Not their DNA, but the RNA that keeps the envelope. It was changed. These kids were born with PTSD and certain other triggers that had long-term health effects. So if that happened because of Jewish people in the Holocaust, what does 400 plus years of being black in America do to the soul and the RNA? The RNA, the fabric that makes us. PTSD is a small thing compared to what else we are dealing with. And it's not like it ended with the Confederacy, because we know Confederacy, that war ended in the 1800s. These statues started getting erected in the 1920s. 1920s. This statue was built in 1928. A short 21 years later, my father was born. Y'all, we have to stop pretending. We have to stop pretending that because somebody we care about that is white may be offended by the pressure associated with us saying we do not allow you to stand on our back and us to be oppressed anymore. We can no longer say it's okay for that to be our existence. Stand up straight and let the oppression fall off your back. It is not okay. I'm not here for it. I am not. And I will continue to show you at whatever cost it takes that this is the town of Enfield's right. We can alter these statues. These statues. Asheville is a predominantly white. Asheville is a predominantly white town. Predominantly white town. And they destroyed a statue because they said it affected their public safety. Well, if it affected their public safety, they're predominantly white. What do you think it's doing? It's a public health crisis, not just because you may keep away tourists, not just because people may protest at this site, not just because it may become the place for conservative rebels or whatever. It's a public health crisis because of the mental health trauma it creates in black people to see this statue or know that it exists here. If you can't absorb that, then I don't know what to tell you. If you can't reconcile that, I don't know what to tell you. It lays because it should lay. It's altered because it should be altered. We are right because we are human, and anybody that understands the main aspect of being human is the right to preservation. So I am trying to preserve black lives. This town, our town board voted to preserve black lives. This is a small price to pay for white supremacy and all of its wrongs. This is a small price to play. It's a lot of bugs out here. It is the country. So I'm gonna hop off, y'all. I just wanted to say nobody needs to call me and ask me or question me. The article is absolutely correct. You read the article. There is an investigation happening right now. The SBI is investigating to see if any laws were broke. I'm saying right now, if it's against the law to protect the public health of Enfield residents from any harm, anything that is a public health crisis, I will continue to stand up against them. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care at whatever cost. I do not care. If it is against the law to stand up for the health of people, not to feel like they are less than, I don't care. I don't care. That's that. Y'all have a good night. Peace.